Hey everyone, welcome to the 12 Man Insight podcast. My name is Mo, and I'm here with Tommy, who is my co host, former football college analyst, and diehard Seahawks fan. What's up, Tommy?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, good, man. What a weekend. What a weekend. Crazy.
Yeah, no, that was a fun game. This is good that we come here and be excited to talk about the game because there's a lot to cover, a lot of good things to talk about.
Yeah, let's get into it. The Seahawks put a beaten on Atlanta. They win 34-14. Geno Smith, 18 of 28, 207 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions. Kenneth Walker had 14 carries for 79 yards and one touchdown. DK Metcalf, had four receptions for 99 yards and one touchdown. The defense was the MVP. Three takeaways. Shout out to Derek Hall and Boye Mafe, Kobe Bryant, man, the defense balled out, but they allowed 155 rushing yards. So we'll get into that. But the big question of the week, Tommy, are the Seahawks back or are there still issues?
Oh, well, it was a great win. It was a great win. There's a lot to be excited about. The defense kind of looks like what we were seeing earlier in the season, and I think that's a testament to Byron Murphy's return. But are the Seahawks back? I don't know. I don't think so. I think we're still seeing the same issue with the offensive line. I think we still have some personnel issues there. Gino, as great as it looked, Gino was still pressured on 50% of his dropbacks against a poor pass rush. So, we turn around and face a good pass rush, and I think those numbers are really going to show. And so
Mm.
there is a lot to come. There's a lot to like. I think the defense is back, but I can't say we're a great team yet. I think that's just going to be kind of our Achilles heel all season, and it was there, but we took advantage of a poor pass rush.
I agree with you, man. First of all, I think regardless of anything that happened in the past, the Seahawks really needed this win. Imagine we went 4-0. That would be crazy. That would be a crazy losing streak. Shout out to the coaching staff, man. Mike McDonald really got these guys prepared from Monday to Saturday. And the East Coast record is now crazy. I forgot what it was. Do you remember, Tommy? They have like a crazy East Coast record.
I can't think of it. There is something about that East Coast time zone with the Hawks. They like to win. They like to win in that time zone. I wish we were playing in Buffalo this weekend with that stat, but I don't know for sure. But
Yeah,
they love playing in the Eastern time zone.
yeah. I think this started back in Pete Carroll's time. They invested a lot in sports medicine, a lot of sleep medicine, a lot of scientific and technology stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, definitely, definitely. So I
but
mean,
yeah,
but
I
another thing.
mhm.
Well, you go
Go
ahead. You
ahead.
go ahead. You go ahead. You go.
Go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
what I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say was I think another thing I wanted to talk about just some positives because I feel like I'm coming in negative. We just won 34-14 on the road against a good team, so I can't come off
Yeah,
like that. So I wanted to talk about how great the defensive line played all across the
yeah.
board. All across the board, everyone was playing well. They were just wreaking havoc. They were making it really hard on that Falcons offense to get
Mm.
anything going and to hold them to 14 points. There's nothing to be mad about there. Nothing to be mad about there, especially with still a banged up defensive back group as well. So, and then obviously, I just want to say something. I just want to say something. Ken Walker is looking like a top five running back in the NFL this season.
He's gonna get paid. I don't care. I don't care what you think. He's gonna get paid.
He is. He is come alive. He has come alive. He looks fantastic in the pass game, the run game. I don't want to say he's the most important player on offense because he's not, but he does give a whole different element to our offense that makes us better. And
Yeah,
him with Charbonnet kind of complementing each other it's really good, really good. And then
yeah.
Gino was poised, bounced back, looked great. Handled the 50% pressure rate really well
Mm.
versus what we saw in the previous week against the Niners. So that was a super positive development. And also DK Metcalf, another
Yeah,
obviously got an injured card off late in the game. Based off what I'm hearing, he's going to be okay week to week. But continuing his monster season. I mean, truly,
yeah.
he was doing it blocking. doing it receiving, and he's starting to really show himself as this true number one that we've been looking for. So excited to see what he's got in store for us. And maybe he misses a week or two, but I don't think that's going to derail anything that he's doing so far.
Yeah, I agree with you on the defense, man. My excitement during the game started with that Boye Mafe strip sack, man. That really turned the game around. I think he gave Kirk Cousins a bloody nose, hit him in the face. What a stud, man. And kind of reminds you of the players that you need sometimes to come in big moments. And Boye Mafe, Derek Hall, both from the Russell Wilson trade, that trade even gets better every day. But I want to focus on Byron Murphy, man. Byron Murphy, 4-0 when he plays, and the Seahawks lose when he doesn't. He doesn't light up the stat sheets. I was just checking his stats earlier. 8 pressures, 1 sack, 0 QB hits, 7 hurries. But man, is he important to this defense, Tommy?
And so I don't want to dig too deep early on here because we're going to go over the Boye Mafe strip sack and we're going to go over some Byron Murphy in the film corner later in this episode. But to get Byron for Byron Murphy, I mean, the stats show it. When he plays, the Seahawks allow 14.3 points per game. When he doesn't play, the Seahawks have allowed
Yeah,
35.7 points. And so we had 21 pressures on Sunday against the Falcons. There's only 2 games this season where we haven't had 21 pressures, and that's when Byron Murphy and Boye Mafe didn't play.
yeah,
And then also it's worth noting that Byron Murphy did lead all Seahawks run defenders with an 80.2 PFF grade this week. Welcome
man.
back, Byron Murphy.
All right, so Tommy, it's not like Atlanta has a bad offensive line. That is a really good offensive line that this defense played against. Um, they are top 10 in offense in the league. They played in multiple shootouts. They had a great game against the Chiefs. They played great against the Steelers defense. This offensive line really is a great team, and our D line is really good too. And this game, I'm ready to say that they're a really good D line right now. I don't know if they can continue this consistency, but they look like a good crew when they're all healthy and playing together. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, no, I absolutely have to agree with you on that. I think the biggest thing for this defensive line is just staying healthy because, as I alluded to, the 2 games this season we didn't get 21 pressures in total was when Byron Murphy and Boye Mafe were out. And so I do think at times you could say we might be a little top heavy on the defensive line, but
Yeah,
with some new key additions back, I really think that this is a legit defensive line. And I think these guys, I really do think we're just scratching the surface because you look at it and, you know, Boye Mafe's young, Byron Murphy's young. I mean,
yep.
Derek Hall's young. We've got all these guys that are really still developing as players in the NFL. And so I think they can only get better. And obviously, contract decisions will have to come up, but we just got to enjoy the process right now and watch these guys blooming into what is a good group of defensive linemen. And then our
I agree with you. And the other point you mentioned was this offensive line. Mike Jarrell, I know you'll get into him a little bit later, but I think he held his own a little bit, gave Geno some time, even though they played against a bad pass rush. But this offensive line, I don't know how they'll do against Buffalo. Buffalo had like 20 pressures the other day against Tennessee. They have a bad offensive line as well. So we'll see what they do. But this offensive line, I'm still not ready to crown them yet. I want to see them against an elite pass rush. Hopefully, we get Abe back or Gabe Jackson. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm definitely worried for this game against Buffalo. I think this will kind of size things up for us. Hopefully, we get Tariq Woolen back this week. That'll be important. But yeah, I'm not quite ready to crown this offensive line yet either. I think Mike Jarrell. Let's talk about Mike Jarrell a little bit before I dive into him further. You can't be mad. You got to appreciate what he did for us. I mean, you're asking a lot for what is a developmental guy coming in, and he did hold his own. He did enough, and sometimes in the NFL, that's all you need is just
Yeah,
enough. And so, you got to appreciate him and give him his flowers for coming out and doing what needed to be done for us and helping us get out of Atlanta with a win. And I think, I don't expect him to be our full time starter at right tackle the rest of the season, but
Yeah.
At least he's kind of showing us that we can trust him. In emergency situations that we kind of saw this.
Yeah. He doesn't look like a guy you would sign on the practice squad because somebody else is going to take him right.
Yeah, especially after Sunday. I mean, that film's out there. If he was on the practice squad, I think someone Tennessee, for example, might be picking him up if they get the chance. So I think
Yeah.
they've got the right. They've got him on roster. Got to keep him there and let him grow. And this will be good though. Him getting a start this early in his career is going to be really good for his development, and it'll just
Mhm.
be kind of on him to see how much further he can take that.
Yeah. Speaking of practice squad, I had to look up some players, man, who played in the secondary. Job, Mike Job. Is that his name? The cornerback from the practice squad?
Man, this is going to be bad. I think it's Jack Joby. I think it's Jack Joby. I feel terrible.
Jack
I feel
Jobe.
ter-
Man, I feel bad,
uh
but he balled out.
yeah, I don't even think it's Jack Joby. I don't know. That's terrible. I need to know that. But yeah, I
That
mean,
is terrible.
we did have some stopgaps in there in the secondary, but minus a couple penalties, they did play well. They did. I
Yeah.
was a little worried early on in the game with Kyle Pitts. They did start to get him involved really early, and I was like, oh, here we go. But no, I think the defense had really got a really good job adjusting and just answering the bell when they needed to. And yeah, so the whole secondary group is led by obviously Devin Witherspoon, but contributions from Nehemiah Pritchett, the rookie out of Auburn, who I think has really shown some flashes. I'd like to see him more, to be honest with you.
Okay.
He's shown me a lot of good things, and he's made a couple plays here and there, and I think he's a player that could sort of transition into where Trey Brown is right now,
Mhm.
especially when contracts come into play. But I want to see more Nehemiah Pritchett. I've been impressed so far, and I think he's done some good things.
Would you start him in Buffalo over Trey Brown if he's healthy?
Oh boy, I don't think I would. That's tough. That's tough. I think you get Trey Brown out there, but put him on a short leash. I think you have to have Trey
Okay.
Brown on a short leash out there because Um, Buffalo's receiver core obviously got bolstered with the addition of Amari Cooper. And
Yeah.
so Amari is a great route runner, a veteran presence. He knows how to create separation, all that type
Mhm.
of deal. So it'd be tough for us to, we don't know what Tariq Woolen's status is either. And so we're obviously that's going to weigh down a lot on who's out there and all that. But I'd be hesitant to put a rookie corner on Amari Cooper with who Amari Cooper
Yeah.
is. And I think that's not a knock on Amari Pritchett. I think that's more of a compliment to Amari Cooper, and that we don't want to give him any matchups that we feel he could dominate.
Yeah. How about these linebackers? I'm scared for these linebackers, man, the next game because Dawson Knox, these tight ends in the middle are going to eat. They're really good for Buffalo. And yeah,
Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, that's a good group, and they complement each other well. And truthfully, I'm not really sold on our linebacker group as it is right now. I mean, I think Jerome Baker, to me, Jerome Baker and Tyrell Dodson to me has been better. It's a revenge game for Tyrell Dodson, so
yeah,
we'll see if he knows anything. But I haven't been completely in love with our linebacker group this season. I thought Dodson got off to a really good start, but to be honest with you, I'm not really sold on what Jerome Baker's been doing this year. There are a couple of us watching the film from Atlanta, and there's a couple of plays, especially on zone runs, where he just kind of get washed out. And it's frustrating your linebackers. You got to be a little bit more disciplined than that. And I thought Dodson a couple of times filling some gaps was a little too soft, especially against a good rushing attack. And so I just collectively, I'm not a huge fan. I like Tyrese Knight. I think he's shown some good things, and I obviously trust the coaching staff that if Tyrese Knight's not showing enough in practice to beat out either Baker or Dodson, then I trust the coaching staff there. But I do think that he should be getting a little bit more burn than he has. I thought he had some good opportunities when Baker was out and looked good in doing so. And so, but after that, after those three, you kind of look back and you're like, what else do we have? So Jamin
yeah.
Davis just got released by the Commanders today, and I would definitely like the Seahawks to potentially take a flyer on him, former first round pick out of
Oh,
Kentucky. I think he's shown some good things, and so
Mhm,
I think that's a player that we could potentially see Seattle dive into. Maybe add a little bit more
mhm.
linebacker depth, see if he's got anything left, change up the system for him a little bit, and see what that might do. But yeah, I'm curious to see kind of what the Seahawks plan is at linebacker. I have a feeling there's going to be some sort of big addition coming at linebacker, whether it's during the season or during the offseason. I know Mike McDonald's defenses need that linebacker, that true Mike linebacker, and I think one way or another it's going to be addressed at some point.
Yeah, I don't think you have anything after Tyrell Dodson and Jerome Maker. You have Tyrese Knight, Drake Thomas, John Radigan. So I think it gets a little bit tough after that. But yeah, they need a true difference maker at that position. And you could see, as you said, you pointed this out last week. Baltimore's defense really changed when they got Roquan Smith. They had Patrick Queen, but Patrick Queen wasn't Patrick Queen without Roquan Smith. And that's when that defense turned up. That's when they got to the next level because you really need that linebacker, that elite linebacker who can be that side to side coverage guy, run defense guy, all around elite linebacker. You mentioned this last week that Roquan Smith, the defense wasn't the defense in Baltimore without Roquan Smith.
Yeah, I mean, with that Baltimore linebacker group, I mean, and I mean, obviously Queen and Roquan are great players, and they complemented each other so well. Roquan was really became the true leader of that defense, and it did start up front too, though. I mean, with when you get that linebacker like Roquan, you need to have some dogs up front like Justin Matabike, and I think Byron Murphy can be that Justin Matabike for us, who's really able to kind of control that interior of the defensive line and help fill gaps, help create gaps for our linebackers. And I think that's kind of, those two are very similar. They were similar coming out of college and they have similar play styles. And I think that's kind of what Mike McDonald saw when he drafted Byron Murphy
Yeah.
and obviously having Justin last year in Baltimore. So I do think the next step for Seattle's defense is going to be adding a premier linebacker in there. And I think that's exactly what Mike McDonald knows and exactly what Mike McDonald wants.
All right, awesome. So now let's get to the second segment. This is a new segment that we're introducing called the Film Corner. Now we're gonna break down some film with Tommy right here to give us the three positive plays. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right, y'all, and welcome in to the Film Corner with me, Tommy. Basically, what the Film Corner is going to be a new segment that we're starting in this week's episode, where I'm going to go in and find some positive plays, some negative plays, and I'm going to talk. We're going to rewatch it. I'm going to break it down, and we're just going to talk about it. So let's get right into it. So we're going to start with the first positive play. This is obviously one of the bigger plays of the game. We're here in the second quarter. It's 3rd and 15. There's about 10 seconds left in the half here, and the Falcons get the ball back after halftime. And so this is a pretty high pressure play. So there are three people here I wanna talk about on this specific play. So what we're first gonna do is we're gonna watch the play. And just like that, very, very big play. Good, had to have it, and we had it. So let's jump into breaking it down a little bit. So here we are. We're gonna go ahead and pause it. We're gonna talk about some things and break it down. So obviously, Falcons here are thinking it's pass. They've got three guys up front, limited pass rush, and they've got a lot of guys sitting in the box here. So we're looking at DK Metcalf here, and what we're seeing is obviously he's the only receiver on his side of the field, and he's lined up against AJ Terrell. And AJ Terrell is shaded on the outside. So basically, in other words, his goal is to keep DK Metcalf on the inside track here. And he's not wanting DK to get that outside release and get towards the sideline and that type of deal. So, but DK Metcalf knows, though, is he's got inside leverage. He knows he's got this. And you see the two high safeties here. So you're thinking it's cover two. And so You know when you see this more often than not, unless they're inverting or whatnot, it's going to be cover two. Now is the question. The question is, are we doing cover two flats, cover two man? Just you don't know that, right? So when you've got your corner shaded up a little bit like this, you're more thinking man, because he's going to follow you're going to follow him, right? And you just don't you really want to keep him on that inside track. So enough blabbering about the alignment and stuff. Let's get to the play. So DK gets that good release off the line, and then bam, you see that? So we're going to jump back. We're going to jump back a quick second. All right, so he hits that move. He hits that double move right there. And so what that does is, we're going to jump back 1 second. Watch it. So we're not going to mess this up anymore. But what you see on that double move, we're going to watch it again, right? He's going, bam. But look what he did. That safety went with it. And AJ Terrell also went with it. All that was doing is creating separation and creating this window here. Obviously, that safety has got to keep this side of the field. He's in charge of this side of the field here, right? And Tyler Lockett's kind of, he's up there. So that safety's got to be aware of Tyler, right? Especially because now that we see it is cover two man. And so with that move, he just created this massive window here. And the safety's going to try. He's going to try to get that makeup speed. And if Geno lofts the ball, then, it's a different story. It might make a play on it. But we'll jump to Geno here in a second. DK had created the space there with AJ Terrell and with the safety here. And so he's able to find that window, and then Geno delivers it right in the perfect window for the touchdown there. And we'll watch it from this angle as well. And we're going to talk about Geno here on this play. So we saw what DK did there. So Geno, obviously, so what he did with that first look. So we're gonna jump back. And so watch that first look by Geno, that first read. He's looking. All he's doing, he's just trying to redirect those downfield defenders. He's looking them off. He wants them to follow. He wants those defenders to follow his eyes. He's also trying to create that space for DK. It was always DK. And so it's just a two-man game right there. DK's creating the extra space, doing the double move. Geno's using his eyes to create the space. And then he feels the pressure, steps up in the pocket, and puts it right on the money. Right on the money. I mean, that's a beautiful textbook play right there. And we're going to watch it again. Because there's also one more thing I want to point out. So let's talk about it. Mike Jarrell right here. He's our rookie right tackle from a Division II college. Big developmental guy. Making his first start. And so, he's being asked a lot right now. He's being asked to do a lot right now in his first start. But I want you to watch what he does on this play. So he gets in his pass set. Not a bad start. He's got Noah Fant helping him out there on the outside. They don't want him to get beat from the outside. And so what he's doing is he loses his base. You see, as soon as his foot comes up, you're losing. Okay? And at this point, you're thinking, oh no. Look at Charles Cross taking care of business. Look at that pad level. But you're thinking, oh no, this guy, he lost his base, he lost his power. But look at the recovery. Just out of reach. That's great by Geno as well. That's great pocket movement, pocket presence by Geno. A lot of poise there. But look at him continue to work and just drives them upfield. Takes him out of the play entirely. Allows Geno to step up and deliver that beautiful ball to DK. Just on a rope. I mean, that right there is all you can ask for from your developmental rookie tackle making his first start. Especially after getting beat. It'd be easy for him just to kind of, quit on the play there. But nah, he kept going, pushed him upfield, gave Geno a chance, and Geno delivered. And that's that. Big touchdown there on that play.
Man, that was a crazy That was a crazy play. One thing I really liked about that play was how Gino stepped in the pocket because a lot of quarterbacks would not in that situation. And pocket presence, I think Gino's pocket presence is underrated. Would you agree?
I would fully agree with that. I think he's been showing a lot of mobility in the pocket this year, be able to move around and just find space, move up when needed. He's done a great job with that all season. I think that's one of his biggest steps forward he's taken this year.
Also, he has a great arm, man. I don't think Purdy makes that throw on a rope. Like a lot of quarterbacks
No,
would.
I mean his arm talent is, I think that's probably his most underrated trait is his arm talent. I mean,
Yeah,
there are some ludicrous throws this guy makes, and I don't think he gets enough credit. I think people are starting to figure it out, but since he's been starting, he has made some crazy throws that I think
yeah,
if it were a bigger name quarterback would be getting crazy social media love and oh my gosh, how did he do this? When Gino's been doing it for 3 years now, he there are, if you can look back at many games for the past few years, and there have been some ridiculous throws made in those games.
yeah. Mike Jarrell also. One thing I really learned about that the film review that you did was even though he got beat, the recovery matters a lot. And I don't think a lot of people watch that, during offensive line play. You can get beat, but how you recover and you bounce back. And I don't think Gino steps up in the pocket without him still pushing and still continuing to fight, still driving that defender back. That play was really interesting. On the flip side, you can see Charles Cross. Man, Charles Cross is a stud, bro. The way the way he's just on it by himself. He's like, hey, get out the way. I think if the Seahawks had a better team and they went deep in the playoffs, maybe he would have like at least a second all team pro.
Yeah, I mean Charles is having a fantastic season. I mean he's highly ranked in a lot of stats among left tackles in the league. He continues to get better. He's still so young, and I mean you saw it on that play right there. He started low. The pad level was great. He went low with the defender, picked him back up, kept his base, kept his balance. Feet were even. I mean that was textbook pass pro by Charles Cross on that play as well. But yeah, let's just jump back to Mike. I think that's one thing that's kind of the art of being an offensive lineman is that you can get beat initially, but there is opportunity to recover, and that's exactly what he did there. I think he definitely got beat. The end got inside, got his hands inside. He lost his base. He had no power, but he recovered and he gave Gino a chance to step up, and it was a good job by Gino identifying it. And if Mike Jarrell quits on that play, then we don't score a touchdown there. And the game looks entirely different, by the way. The game looks entirely different. So, for him just continuing to run him upfield was huge, was massive, and he deserves a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, and I don't want to you know put Stone Forsyth down because he faced some elite pass rushers. He faced Nick Bosa. He faced Brian Burns. He faced Aiden Hutchinson. He faced some elite pass rushers, one of the best pass rushers in the game. I don't know if he would recover like that. We'll have to see Mike Drill in future games and to compare and contrast. But I think he did a great job. I don't know if he's better than Stone yet, but maybe it's yet to be seen.
Yeah, and I think one thing because I also don't want to come at Stone Forsyth either because ultimately now that was Mike Drill's first start, and now in that defensive end that we play next week, he's going to go in, watch the film, and watch Mike Jarrell and say, okay, this is what he does. This is how I can beat him. This is what I'm going to do to beat him. He doesn't know how to do this because he's so young, etc., etc. So there's film adjustments that are going to be made, and it'll be interesting to see if Mike's ready to step up to the test after someone has some game film on him and kind of understands how they want to attack him.
Yep. All right, so let's get to the second film review in the film corner. So let's get to
All
it.
right, guys, we're going to jump into the second play here. We're going to jump over to the defensive side of the football and highlight a play by a player that we talked about in the last episode that the Seahawks needed back desperately. And that player is the rookie defensive tackle out of Texas, Byron Murphy.
we felt his presence in his return. The whole D-line, to me, played a better game with him back on the field. And, of course, we've got other guys getting healthy as well. But the stats don't lie. The Seahawks are 4-0 when Byron Murphy plays. The defense plays a lot better when Byron Murphy is on the field. The fact that the Seahawks were able to get him at their pick, I still find us extremely lucky, but extremely, extremely excited to have him on our team, and we're just scratching the surface of who he can become. There's not a lot of rookie defensive tackles that command as many double teams as he has so far this season, and we're going to watch it right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to watch the sky cam play first, and then we're going to go to the end zone cam, we're going to break it down. I mean, just disruptive stuff. Quickness, power, leverage. So let's talk about it. So we've got Byron Murphy here. He's in that A gap between the center and the left guard. And what his job on this play to do is he's got to cross this center's face and control this A gap here. And then Tyrell Dodson will fill this A gap. That in itself is already a tough ask for a defensive tackle. Now, a rookie defensive tackle, that's an extremely tough ask. There's not a lot of guys in this league that you can really trust to do that with their level of quickness. But for the Seahawks to be able to trust a rookie defensive tackle to do that, I mean, that tells you a lot about the player that we have on our team right now. So I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to change the speed up real quick here so we can really take a good look at it here. So let's see. Okay. So let's just watch it right now. So first thing we're going to look at is that first step. So look at that. First step, got across that guard's face. Gets the hand usage is impressive as well, because this guard's coming down, as you can see. He's got his arm into that guard. He's swimming up. This guard's now shifting over to take this other A-gap responsibility. And he gets through and makes a tackle on a premier running back in the backfield. So let's take another look. So lines up in the A-gap. And we're gonna take a step by step here. So first step, he's showing. So he's already off. The one benefit he does have is the guard's obviously stepping left. But look where his arm is already. Look where his arm's up. He's targeting this shoulder pad. Gets his hand on there. Starts his swim move over. This guard's watch. He chips Jonathan Hankins there, and then he's going to jump over and take over this A gap. Crosses the center's face, gets his hand, separates himself from that guard, splits these two offensive linemen, and finishes the play in the backfield. That is a very special play, and he makes it look routine. And you have to, and the thing about this play is when you have a running back like you're facing a running back like Bijan Robinson, is he's got such great burst and acceleration that you have to be fast. To even have a chance at a play here, you have to be fast. You have to get it done, and he's able to do it there. And like I said, guys, I think we're just scratching the surface on what kind of player Byron Murphy can be. I think he's a future cornerstone of this defense. And I really think that by the end of this year, he's going to be a household name for us, if not by the end of next year. He's a special player, and the Seahawks are extremely lucky to have him.
Man, what a film breakdown, Tommy. 4-0 says a lot. Byron Murphy is 4-0 when he plays. The Seahawks lose when he doesn't. And to have that premier defensive tackle, and you said the Seahawks, the coaching staff really trust him to take on those responsibilities, take on those double teams, secure those gaps. And Mike McDonald is a really experienced defensive coordinator and head coach. I don't think he would trust anybody with those assignments if he didn't believe Byron Murphy was elite.
Totally. I mean, I could not agree more. You see it in the way he's already commanding doubles. There were many clips I watched from Sunday's game where he's just getting double teamed right off the snap. And they're letting our ends. What he's doing for our ends is just giving them one-on-ones. and that's exactly what you want because then you trust your young athletic defensive ends to beat the tackle, and so the way he's been able to command attention but still make his presence felt, it splits double teams. It's just a testament to how much leverage he plays with and the motor that he has. He's going to be a really good player, really good player. Typically, the pass rushing comes through time, but you can't teach what he's doing through with the run game right now.
Yeah, Adam Dirty called him a unicorn. He said there's not a lot of players who have that lower body strength to take on those double teams and split double teams and have that like inner quickness. Can you talk about a little bit about that the strength he has, not only his athleticism and quickness, but also lower body strength?
Yeah, so I had I actually had an opportunity last year. I was on a sideline for our game against Texas. So I'm watching pregame warmups and watching Byron Murphy out there, and he looks like a walking muscle. He looks like a walking muscle. Though his build is so crazy. It's rare, and he ended up getting a sack in the game, and he's just because of his lower body strength and it's because he's a shorter guy. I mean, he's not the tallest defensive lineman in the league by any means, and because he's so short, all of his power is really compressed, and he's such a strong player and plays with such leverage that he's able to kind of control it all into one place, and it really helps him. It's in his legs, in his core, and he's such a strong player with that leverage that he's basically just squatting guys out of there, power cleaning guys out of there when he gets out of his once he gets out of his stand.
Yeah, it's just crazy that he fell down all the way to 16. I mean, it's a blessing for the Seahawks, but I think a lot of teams, when it's said and done, maybe in a couple of years, are really going to regret not taking Byron Murphy in the first couple of picks because he is a unicorn, man. Imagine if the Vikings like it took him, or one of these other teams in the top 10 took him because they would have been a better team right now.
Atlanta. You don't think Byron
Atlanta,
Murphy was not?
yeah,
You don't think Byron Murphy was out there Sunday thinking about Atlanta could have taken him at 8, and they probably should have.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Atlanta needs D line help. Him and Grady Jarrett would have been a crazy duo up the middle there. They're kind of similar,
yeah,
and that would
yeah.
have just been wreaking havoc. And so, the crazy thing is, it's at the combine out in Indy in February, and first day out there is defensive lineman, and I get into the stadium. First 40 I watched Byron Murphy 4.87. I was like,
Wow.
oh man! So obviously I'd seen him when he played us
Yeah.
last year on the sidelines, and I go to the combine and watch this guy run a 40. I'm like, oh man, like
That's,
okay, 4.87 is crazy. That's kind of when I was like, oh, he might be a top 5 pick. Like I was like, he might be a top
yeah,
5 pick. And
that's
to be
crazy.
honest, and so when you got a guy like that running a 4.87, that's just like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Three
So
hundred pounds? Is he 300 pounds?
I think he's close. If he's not 300, he's got to be like 290 maybe. Like I don't want to. He's definitely 300 though. He looks 300 with the muscle he's holding. 297.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just looked it up. 297.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, he's a special player, and I've always been kind of bought in. I thought he might go as early as number 5 to the Chargers. I thought the
mhm.
Bears might have taken him. I thought Atlanta might have a
Ooh,
shot at taking him. So I wasn't exactly sure when he was going to
yeah.
go, but man, I feel lucky he fell to us. You should have seen me on draft night. I was hyped up. I was my number one guy. Like I was like, we get him, that's going to change it all. So
Yeah, yeah. Even the Seahawks said we were shocked that he was even there, right? There was all this run on offensive players that I think Latu was the pick before him. Even Indy, man, I think they could have still used him, but the Seahawks are lucky they got him. Did you see that clip from Sean McVay? Really frustrated that the like and him kind of like pushing that he wanted Byron Murphy. Did you see that clip?
yeah, well, I did. And the crazy thing is I had heard through the grapevine that the Rams were trying to trade up for Byron Murphy, like pretty aggressively. Like they
Mhm.
were talking with the Bears at 9 about a trade up for Byron. They were pretty aggressively trying to get up, and that when the Rams, who just had Aaron Donald, just lost Aaron Donald, are aggressively trying to trade up for an interior defensive lineman like that,
Yeah.
that's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially I'm sure it sucks for the Rams to see that guy go in Division Two, but I that's when I knew like the Rams have got a great scouting staff. They got Kobe Turner last year, Ernest John. They've done a great job of identifying talent in the draft, especially in the later rounds. And so, they've got good scouts. They've got good eyes, and for them to
Mm.
really fall in love with a guy like Byron Murphy when moving on from Aaron Donald should tell you a lot.
Yeah. And also the Seahawks, got him at 16. That is crazy. Another thing that I wanted to point out is, do the Rams do a great job in just drafting offensive linemen as well? Because they had a lot of injuries this year, but they have a couple of great dudes on their offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, they really do. And with Steve Avila and they signed Jonah Jackson. Um, if the Rams were healthy,
Mm.
there's a pretty fair argument to make that they might be flirting with first in the division right now, because I thought coming into this year that
Mm.
they were going to be a pretty formidable team, and obviously the injury bug did not go their way, and it's not really going a lot of way any team's way this year, including Seattle. Tampa Bay last night was disastrous. Um, so this year's been weird with injuries, but if they really were healthy on that offensive line and the receiver core, and I think they would be an entirely different team this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is the film breakdown, film corner with Tommy. Now we're gonna get to around the NFL. Just talk about some games that happened this weekend. Let's start with Kansas City versus the 49ers, man. That was a crazy game. Kansas City just looks like a different team right now. Just line of scrimmage team, just run it down your throat type of team. Patrick Mahomes has a lot of interceptions, actually more interceptions than he has touchdowns. The lowest passer rating in his career, but he's getting it done in clutch time, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City has a winning culture, and winning is contagious. When you start winning, you just find ways to win, and that's what Kansas City's doing. I mean, Pat Mahomes to say he had a great game passing would be a lie. He didn't,
Mhm.
but what Pat Mahomes did was find different ways to help his team win with a couple big rushes, and he just found a way. The Kansas City ran the ball really well, and it's really frustrating to see that as a Seahawks fan, because the week before we couldn't run the ball on them at all.
Yeah,
And so to see Kansas City, just kind of wonder like how on earth do they do this? Uh, um, but they ran the ball well. They controlled the time of possession, forced turnovers. They made it really hard on Brock Purdy. Brock was down a couple weapons, of course, but they just made it very, very difficult. Steve Spagnuolo called a great game for that defense, and they just executed, and they found a way, and that's ultimately what it takes a lot of the time in the NFL. And you know, it, Kansas City's defense just really, really got after him. That's the key. I mean, Kansas City's offense found a way, but Kansas City's defense really won the game for him. They made it extremely hard on San Francisco, and for San Francisco, those injury woes continue.
yeah.
Brandon Ayuk.
Is Yeah, ACL, man, that is tough for them. One thing I think about is Brock Purdy a really good quarterback with physical limitations? That's what I always think about, because he makes the right reads. He's mobile in the pocket. He can get through his progressions, but sometimes you'll see some underthrows like that throw to Kittle and that throw to Owning, which could have been two touchdowns if he just put it on the money and they could run it after the catch. So sometimes Brock Purdy is limited physically, which makes sense why he was picked in last in the draft. But the guy is smart, man. He just makes some boneheaded decisions sometimes. I still don't know how he's 6-0 until him with the Seahawks, right? That is just really sad. But yeah, that's the type of impression I get with Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I think with Brock, I think you put it right on the money. I mean, I think he's a really smart quarterback. I think he's really good at doing what's asked of him, and I think Kyle Shanahan does a really good job of making it easy for him. I don't see Brock Purdy as a guy that you can go. that is going to take over a game. He will single handedly win you a Super Bowl. I don't think he's that type of guy. But I think he is a good game manager. I think he is like a Jared Goff who is helped out by the run. And I think Brock's struggling this year because Jordan Mason's good, but he's not Christian McCaffrey. Christian
Yeah.
McCaffrey gave that team a whole different element. They're a different team when they've got a running back that can do what Christian McCaffrey does. And you know, uh, when he doesn't have that wrinkle in the offense, I think that's kind of why we're seeing some struggles from the 49ers this year. Also, the 49ers are not getting pressure at the rate they usually do, which is not helping the secondary out. I think there's just a lot of things in San Francisco right now that aren't going their way, including injuries, but they're just not playing like the same San Francisco team we've seen. But of course, they still beat Seattle.
Yeah.
But they're not the same San Francisco team we're seeing, and I wouldn't predict them to make it to the Super Bowl today. I would definitely say that.
Yeah, it's crazy. For some reason, Brock Purdy has the Seahawks number. I don't know why, but we just can't beat that team. But hopefully, if we're healthy, the next game, it goes differently. But yeah, let's get to the next game, man. Sunday Night Football: Steelers versus the Jets. Russell Wilson, man, kind of looked like vintage Russell Wilson with those moon balls. Throwing touchdown passes. Sometimes it kind of reminded me how good Russell Wilson was in the past, especially in Seattle. I was just looking up his stats. The last 3 years he played in Seattle, 100 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. Really wild, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I think Russ coming out there Sunday kind of unlocked a different part of the Steelers offense that we haven't seen. And a lot of people were asking, why are they moving on from Justin Fields? And I think we saw why. Because what Russell Wilson does is give you a different look from the pass game. The Steelers have always been able to run the ball. They've got
Yeah,
two quality running backs, and having Justin Fields in there, gives them I'm not calling Justin Fields a running back, but it gives them a
yeah.
third, quality running option.
Hmm.
But they needed to find some sort of pass game, and they didn't have it. And what Russ has come in
Yeah,
and done is give them that. And I don't, I'm also not going to overreact either. The Jets defense has been horrible as of late, and so they have no identity. The Jets they're very dysfunctional right now. But the Steelers did do a good job of coming in and just taking control of that game. And
yeah,
they really dominated. And just back to Russ just opened a different dimension of that offense in the pass game. And you saw George Pickens finally break out for a big game, and got a lot of guys involved. And so the Steelers looked really good, and it'll be interesting to see if they can continue that going forward. But with
yeah,
the Jets, man, the disaster. It's a disaster in New York. I
yeah,
mean, my biggest question with them was, and what did adding Devonte Adams do? Does that move
yeah,
the needle? Is that going to help them on defense? Because a lot of these teams are just running the ball at will on these
yeah.
guys, and so if I don't know, like obviously they've got a great corner in Sauce Gardner. They have a
Mhm.
pretty respectable secondary, I have a solid linebacker group. And they got Quinn Williams, but they have been playing horrible. So I mean
Yeah,
that is just the truth, and I don't know where the Jets go from there. I don't know what adding Devonte Adams does for the defensive woes, and how does that help your offensive line that has been horrible. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure.
yeah. The Jets are S corp, man, owned by Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers LLC. that that's what the Jets are. Because I don't think a general manager would have thought to make that decision to bring in Devonte Adams, take on his most of his money, give out that draft capital when your offense is doing so bad. You fired your coach. It doesn't seem the right time to make a big move. Um, so it has Aaron Rodgers LLC written all over it, man.
And that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Why are you making a big trade after you just fired your coach?
Yeah,
If you're firing your coach, you're basically saying like this year's not our year. Like, and you go make a big trade and give up draft capital for it. I
yeah,
don't know. The Jets to me are lost. And this is funny that we're talking because this is knowing the Seahawks. This is completely setting up for the Jets to come beat the Seahawks in a couple weeks, just
Yeah,
because that's how things go, I guess, right? But
yeah.
yeah, the Jets. I don't know. They're a mess right now. It'll be interesting to see how that gets figured out. I'm sure the New York media is having a field day, so that'll it is getting
That
messy
is
up there.
crazy. That is crazy. All right, so let's wrap up the Week 8 predictions. So, Buffalo at Seattle. It's going to be a Fox America's Game of the Week. Tom Brady and the crew are going to come. I was really looking forward to attending that game in person, but man, I hate going to the stadium and losing. It's just like a different, just a different feel. So I don't know. I might go, I might not. But let's get your predictions, Tommy. What do you think?
Yeah. So I'm not. One of these weeks, I am going to pick the Seahawks. I am. I promise. It's not this week. I think. I think this is just. Oh, this is going to be a really tough matchup for Seattle. I think the Bills have been elite on offense. Adding Amari Cooper just adds another element to it. The Bills have the most touchdowns in the NFL this year. They have 24 touchdowns. That leads the entire league in total touchdowns scored. Josh Allen has 0 interceptions on the season. Can we force turnovers? Can we get to Josh Allen? Can we make him uncomfortable? Can we stop the Bills' offense? I mean, if James Cook plays, great. If Ray Davis plays, same deal. It's they've got the right attack. Um, I just think it's going to be a tough matchup. And you got to talk about Josh Allen running on the ground too. Can our linebackers get to him? Can our safeties get to him
Yeah.
when he's running on the ground? Can we tackle him in space? Unfortunately, I just don't see it this week. And Seattle surprised me last week, and I was super impressed, super excited. Can they do it this week? I certainly hope so. I just think the Bills are a different level team than us right now, and I think we're going to kind of get a slice of humble pie on Sunday. Certainly hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'm 1-0 against you in predictions right now, Tommy. So, uh, and I'm still going. I'm still going Seahawks. Yeah. I'm still going Seahawks winning this game, 27-20. I think the difference in this game is the Seahawks' explosive plays. I think we're going to get some explosive plays. I don't know if Gabe Jackson comes back. There's a chance that he will because he starts practicing this week. Maybe, maybe not. But hopefully we give Gino some time in the pocket, and I think he'll do a better job than he did against previous elite defenses. I don't know if the Bills defense is elite. I was just looking at their PFF grades. They have the 30th. They're the 30th ranked coverage grade in their secondary. So their secondary is not great. I think Leslie Frazier will help in the game plan. So I'm taking the Seahawks to win this game, and yeah, I think they might go and run, man. Atlanta, Buffalo, Bills, and then Los Angeles. So I'm taking all those 3 games. I didn't want it to maybe spoil my prediction right now, but you know, I think they'll go on a run until they lose one. So that is my prediction for this week.
I hope you're right. If we beat the Bills on Sunday, next week's podcast is going to be electric. I'll tell you. It'll be good. It'll be good. I'll take my 0-2 record with a smile on my face.
All right, sounds good. Well, hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the 12-Minute Insight podcast. We appreciate you guys. If you like the show, please don't forget to like it and subscribe down. So appreciate you guys. Have a great day and go Hawks.
Peace out.